All right, guys, this is the brand new Moto 360 Sport from the guys at Motorola. This is a fitness-focused smartwatch, new for 2016, just released in January this year. This is going to be an honest review of this smartwatch, my likes, my dislikes, everything I find great about this watch, and everything that I think could probably use some improvement. So stay tuned for an honest look, a fanboy-free review of the Moto 360 Sport. So first we'll talk about the hardware, then the software. Jumping into the hardware, it's a pretty nice size watch, and the fact that it's round is something that I really like. It's about a 43 millimeter case size. Here's a 43 millimeter Seiko automatic. You can see it's really pretty close in terms of the size. It's a fair bit lighter than the Seiko as well, but I like the round design. In fact, that's probably what's drawn me most to the Moto 360 is the roundness. I just recently reviewed a Garmin Forerunner, which I really liked because it was round. I don't like the Apple Watch because it's square. I don't like the Fitbit because it's square. And so the round design for me is a really, really nice, attractive component to this watch. The rubber band, while rubber is really soft and conforms to your wrist really nicely, is a bit of a dust magnet here on this watch. You can kind of see the fuzz and lint and all the other things that are getting attracted to the band there. The back does have that built-in heart rate sensor, which is nice. It is using an optical heart rate sensor, so it's similar to what you'd find on an Apple Watch or the Fitbit or any of the other sort of current heart rate sensors. Motorola does call this an anytime display, any light display, which means you can read it indoors and outdoors. I have coming up in a little bit, I'll show you guys what it looks like outside. Another thing Motorola has in here is one of the ambient light sensors, which you can see down there. It gives it this flat tire design is what people end up calling it. So the display only really lights up on, this top half of the screen and leaves out that cutout right there, which I don't really find that really unattractive. I think as much as I kind of like the all light, any light display, I don't like the fact that they can't find another way to put it somewhere else in the design, and it kind of ruins the display of the watch. But getting away from the screen, we'll talk about sort of the fit, finish, build, really high quality. The one button on the watch is very tactile, very clicky feeling, feels really good. The watch is a touchscreen as well, so you can actually touch the screen and use the button, so it's a dual control option here. Slide down for settings, slide up for notifications, slide across for your apps. There's a lot of lag in this watch, and I'm going to talk more about that in the software part of this review. But as far as the touchscreen goes, it's responsive. It never seems to really fail. Really easy to use in terms of its simplicity. Other things to talk about with the build, it has a wireless, a built-in charging port on the watch, and so what that does is here's the included charging dock. There's not an actual place to plug in. You just set the watch in the dock. This is probably one of the best features of the watch. It'll sit on your bedside there. It'll be a nice little nightlight for you as you charge the watch. You do have to charge it every day. You're only going to get, at the most, probably 1.5 to 2 days of use out of this thing before you need to charge it. So it's probably going to be something you charge nightly with your phone. But Motorola makes it really easy by including this built-in dock that you just kind of rest the watch in, and boom, shows you the time and the percentage, which is really nice. I like that. That's got to be the best charging solution I've come across yet in terms of my the smartwatches that I've reviewed. Okay, so getting more into the screen, this ambient display where it's using battery but not using the full light back, and colors of the screen preserves batteries, and it still allows you to read the watch in any light. It's activated to turn on the full display when you rotate your wrist or if you click the button, and so you can see kind of what the watch looks like with the ambient display there, and then with the full-on display there. I actually really like this display. I reviewed, the Sony smartwatch, the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, the Garmin Forerunner. This is probably my favorite display yet on any of these devices. I actually really like the display. I think it's readable outside. I think it's readable indoors. I think the colors are great. It's a really great design that Motorola has done with the display here. And we'll jump into the review here of the outdoor visibility here next. Here's the visibility in direct sunlight outside in a bright day. You can see it's usable. It's not the best. Certainly readable though. If I walk forward here into the shade, you can see that it's, I don't know if I'd call it worse. There's more glare on the screen, but the colors stand out a little bit better in the shade. It's a little bit more contrasty, I'd say, but easy to read outside, but not the best. Okay, so jumping into the software, like I said, there's lag and it's really annoying. You notice it mostly when you're trying to either scroll through notifications or scroll through the apps. You can see it right there. There's just a little bit of like blip, hiccup, lag, right? And it's really, really frustrating to have that. It's 2016. Android is still plagued by lag. I don't know if it's the processor that they put in this device or what, but it's annoying that we still have to struggle with lag. These are the apps on the phone. This is not really going to be a review of Android Wear. I don't really want to talk too much about that, but obviously you can run apps on the phone. The apps are pretty easy to use. It's pretty straightforward. You click on it and it'll open, the app for like this is an example of Google Maps. It'll show you where you are on the map. You can then get away from that by swiping over. You can see a little bit more lag there. Really, really feature rich in terms of it being a smartwatch. You got settings here where you can kind of control the notifications. You can turn on theater mode, brightness boost. There's Wi-Fi built into the watch itself. So if your watch is not tethered to your phone and you're still within range of your wireless network, you can actually have the watch still receive notifications and still be able to use apps and those sorts of things. So that's actually really, really cool. It is a Bluetooth connection to your watch, which is nice. It does work on iPhone and on Android. You're going to get a better experience on Android, but the watch does work on both ecosystems. If we jump now into sort of the notifications, if I pull down from the bottom, you can see I've got a notification here from YouTube. Click on it, it will open up the notification. And then I have an option to either dismiss it or open it on the phone or delete it. But to dismiss, basically you swipe over and boom, it goes away. Same thing here with my emails and some other things here. So the watch works really great for notifications. I actually find that the notifications are a little bit annoying. Like I don't really want to be notified of everything on my watch. And so a lot of times you can then go into the app on your phone and change the notification settings. And so you can tell it which apps send notifications to the phone and which don't, which is nice because then it kind of stops the watch from buzzing and beeping, every so often with like emails and texts and tweets and all that stuff. Another cool thing is it is voice activated, which is great. So you can say, okay, Google. Okay, Google. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, Google. There we go. Show me the forecast. And boom. So there we have it. So it's nice that you get the voice activated response there for Google Now. Makes the watch really, really useful for a smartwatch. But because it's the Motorola Sport 360 Sport, the fact that it has a heart rate monitor makes it great. You can keep track of your heart rate. Even though I don't really find heart rate that useful, and I think a lot of people don't know what heart rate actually means. If they're exercising at 160, how much better is that than exercising at 150 or 140 or 170. So anyway, that's my little rant about heart rate. I think it's helpful, but I don't think it's really that useful. Anyway, getting into sort of the fitness part of this, it's great. You can use the watch without being tethered to your phone. You can start runs. Mostly this watch is for running. It's not really designed for anything else. There are no other built-in apps other than running apps. So like if we scroll down here, we have Moto Body Running. That's the one that's included. So that'll actually keep track of your runs. If you want to keep track of, say, RunKeeper, like I'm a RunKeeper fan, you can use the RunKeeper app and then start a run that way, which is what I did here just before. And we'll show you on the phone the little. I'm going to go through and show you the route that I just ran to show you an example of how I kept track of it. This is the run that I took on RunKeeper, and I used the start run function on here. So I said, okay, Google, start a run. And we're just going to probably do that right now. But it went to RunKeeper as my default application, which I set. And I wore the watch as I was walking around the block. And it does a really good job. I mean, check out the GPS. It's perfect. It's right on the street. And it's exactly the right route, good distance tracking, good duration tracking, and pace. And so really, really cool feature that you can take this watch, use the built-in GPS, use syncs to different apps like RunKeeper. You're not stuck using the Motorola app if you don't want to, and syncs immediately to your phone when you return home. So nice feature to have. You can use other apps like Google Fit. Google Fit does say you can use the device for cycling, but it does say when you're going to end up going cycling, it says use the phone with it. So to me, that doesn't really make any sense. I wanted this watch as a standalone device. I didn't want to have to take my phone with me, but Google suggests that you take the phone with you when you do cycling activities. So yeah, anyway. So for a running device, it's It's just okay. I like the interface on the Fitbit or the Garmin a lot better. When I did take this out on my run, the screen would go dark. I'd get notifications sort of interrupting my run screen. And so as I was actually running, I would lose the track of the numbers, and the screen would be hard to read because it was dark, because it was covered up by my sleeve, and then it was hard to see my running stats. And so not that great of a device for running, which is a shame, because that's kind of what I was looking for. I was looking for more of a fitness device with a smartwatch component rather than a smartwatch with a fitness component, if that makes any sense. The Garmin Forerunner 635 actually, I think, does a lot better in terms of it being a more fitness-focused device with a smartwatch component to it, as opposed to this guy here, which is more of a smartwatch. The fact that it is $299 is relatively comparable to Garmin Forerunner. A little bit more expensive than a Fitbit. I think the Fitbit's $250, so about $50 less. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for in a smartwatch. I think that this thing probably scores higher as a smartwatch than it does as a fitness tracker. So you really have to kind of think about what you want. I want something that is a one device solution. I want something that is a standalone device by itself that I can take out on a run, leave my phone at home, have it keep track of my workouts, and sync everything when I get back home. And so the bells and whistles that I would prefer to have add on would be stuff like GPS. That'd be really great. So it could keep track of my runs. I don't want to use an Apple Watch which just like counts steps or something stupid like that. So GPS is critical. Also, I'd really like to be able to store music on here, so I can take this with me with a pair of Bluetooth headphones. The Sony smartwatch does that, but this guy doesn't. And I'd also really like to be able to have more than a day's battery life, which I haven't been able to find that yet. And the devices that do have more than a day's battery life, like the Garmin and like the Fitbit, they don't really have the same smartwatch components to it. They're more of a fitness tracker. And so all these devices are kind of hitting the mark for different things. And so you really have to kind of consider what you want in a smartwatch / fitness tracker, because they all don't do the same thing. And like I said before, this is primarily a smartwatch and secondarily a fitness device. And so if that's going to meet your needs, then great. But the fact that they don't really have a built-in cycling component to this, and it's more about running, and you're not really able to take this watch by itself because of it's not going to have any music storage, and it can't use the watch by itself when you cycle, means you're going to have to take your phone with you anyway. It's frustrating because it doesn't turn it into a carry one device solution. It turns into a carry two device solution, which is your phone and your watch, and that's something that I want to avoid. So that being said, I do like the watch. I don't think it's perfect. I'm still waiting for that perfect fitness device that's going to do everything for me. And again, my checklist of everything for a great fitness watch is going to be a round watch, just like this, multiple day battery life, which this does not have, fitness first, smartwatch second. So if I can find those things in a device, I'll let you guys know. But for right now, the Moto 360 Sport is good, but not great, and definitely not for me. So hope you guys enjoyed this very quick, actually it hasn't been that quick, but honest review of the Moto 360 Sport. Don't forget to check out everything else I have on YouTube, and rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.